War Eagle, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live. This is our Auburn Family News live stream segment. We are broadcasting live currently on YouTube right here in front of me, but also we've got the Twitter and Periscope going live as well for those people that want to join in on that function. So whether you're watching live or you might be watching this on the replay, we really appreciate you being here and spending a few seconds or minutes with us to hear what we have to say about the world of Auburn Family News and anything else that's going on that pertains to the orange and blue. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kyle. I am the editor and owner of the E2C Network, which is a family of Auburn podcast. Auburn Family Podcast is what we usually call it here. So we do anything, obviously, Auburn sports, really heavy on that. What I'm going to do real quick is go through some information for a lot of you that are regular followers. Maybe some of you don't know that may be new about what we've got going on the network. And then we're going to get into the topic today of this live stream. And by the way, this is a live stream, so I'd love to hear from you out there. Love to hear what you think about what we're talking about, questions, comments. And the main topic today is going to be the Auburn football coaching staff is now finally complete. And incomplete in the sense that all the big positions are filled. Now, there's going to be some quality control and all that kind of stuff, but the ones that we've all been watching, wondering what's going to happen, those are now complete, so we can actually take a full look at this, maybe do a little bit of grading, opinion making about whether this was all good choices or not, like that. So we'll get into that in just a second. So as always, let me go ahead and share with those of you on YouTube. Twitter folks, you'll just have to listen. You won't be able to see some of the stuff that I share here. If you're looking for ways to help support our content here, you can listen to the podcast. You can do so on Apple Podcast mainly, and there's a main Twitter feed. So normally I share this in the YouTube, the link in the YouTube chat. I am sharing a link, but this is to our Auburn Roots only podcast feed. So you will find the Auburn Roots series on the main link, but you can also find them by themselves, and I have shared that here in the chat window. And speaking of which, the person who is featured on Auburn Roots, Mr. Michael Floyd, has popped in on Twitter. So War Eagle to you, sir. Your episode is live. We'll be posting down on social media later today. So you go check that out. Like I said, you can get it on the main podcast link. You can download it there or on the exclusive Auburn Roots one as well. The other thing that we always want to share with you, and it was listed there in the ways to help support this, we've got a bunch of people who help support the content we do here by signing up for as little as $1 a month. And here's the thing, right now, the way we have it set up, you can sign up right now for as little as $1 and not have to pay till the beginning of the month. So you can start getting some of these things and see if it's worth it to you. So go check that out. It doesn't hurt, and every little bit helps to help support the content that we do here. All right, so that's all the big stuff there. Go check out the podcast, Auburn Roots, telling Michael Floyd telling his Auburn story today, so you don't want to miss out on that. As you're coming in, please do make sure you're smashing that like button and sharing it out so we can get as many people in here to be part of the conversation. Let me say hello to a bunch of people here. Neil White, Thomas, Hillbilly, Bruce, Jack, Kenneth, Stereotypical Auburn Fan, Sipsy Sports Show, Josh, Salt Army. Good to see all of you there. At least we're not Tennessee. I think we're all very thankful. Neil posted this, and I'm going to put it up here. I think we're all thankful we are not Tennessee right now. And a lot of you who have been following these streams that I've been doing, you'll know that one of my fears with us making the decision to fire Coach Malzahn this year would be us becoming Tennessee. So I want you all to look at what's going over there in the puke orange world and just understand what my fear is about that. That is not a reflection on Coach Brian Harsin and his staff now, because they haven't even gotten on the field yet, but it is what I potentially feel could have been the bad part of us firing Coach Malzahn this year. But anyway, we'll keep moving forward along that. Dylan Brooks has applied for national release, and Tennessee has agreed to it in principle and will let him become a free recruit again. Recruiting is looking good. So there are a lot of opportunities, and I know a lot of you want me to talk more about some recruiting stuff. We're going to do that. And as I've always said, I am not going to be your expert person on recruiting, but I tried to stay up on it as much as I can. So we'll cover some of that here. But there are a lot of promising transfers. There are a lot of promising people that have opened their recruitment back up because of circumstances like that. So there's a lot to follow here. Kenneth says, "I'm good morning. I'm excited about the coaching hire." So it must be morning wherever you are. So because it's 12:11 here as the time of me looking at this. I actually did this stream a little bit later than I typically would because just trying to get all the information together today to try to share all of it. Stereotypical Auburn says, "Honestly, above what I expected. I'm fully on board." Appreciate you saying hit the line. We're gonna go. Or we go 0-12 this season. Well, I'm not going to sit here and say that if you don't hit the like button, you don't subscribe, that Auburn is going to fail. But if that's the strategy that I need to go with to get you guys to do all that, that's great. By the way, we are almost at 800. We hit like a wall, and we grew by leaps and bounds over the last couple of weeks during this coaching search in terms of these live streams we've been doing. But we have hit a wall. We need to get over that 800. I'd like to do that today, and I think with this live stream we can do it. And I'll be doing. Obviously, I've had most of you that have been here for a while will know my weekdays are pretty busy. But I will have several. I can't guarantee 5 straight days of live streams, but probably going to be likely that we'll be able to do some stuff. So I think pretty confident we're going to see hit that mark before that. So appreciate all of y'all that help out in that. Let's see here. It's ironic that Steele is in the same exact position he left when he left at Auburn. I'm trying to really wade through the muck and the mire of the Kevin Steele situation here. And I mean that on both sides. I understand the perceived animosity towards Kevin Steele and the irony with which seems to be happening there. I just can't get on full board with this hate of Kevin Steele. The guy did too much at Auburn over the last several years for me to treat him the way that some people have chosen to treat him online. And I just think some people just need to kind of chill out. There are people that literally have a complex about dragging Kevin Steele through the mud. And listen, this is a guy who is a huge Gus Malzahn supporter, and the rumor is that he engineered a coup against Coach Malzahn. Even with that, if that was true, I still don't get fully on board with that. But to your point, I'm not saying like that to nail you, Neil White. I'm just saying I kind of feel bad for the dude at this point. I think the man deserves another shot as a head coach. I think he would do a better job than he did 2 decades ago at Baylor in a situation where Baylor couldn't succeed. But it is. I see the irony, and I think it's funny to some degree. I kind of feel bad for the dude. So I hope kind of Tennessee gives him a chance, because what does Tennessee have to lose at this point? They are more of a laughing stock in the SEC than Vanderbilt's the laughing stock because they're not good at football. Tennessee is now the laughing stock because they used to be good at football and can't get back there. Well, I guess you could make the same case for Vanderbilt. They in the 50s or something like that, they were dominant, but. Oh, well. Big Cat left Auburn, went to Tennessee, and is now wanting out of Tennessee. What a time to be alive. It is kind of that is a little bit of an ironic situation for him. A lot of people think maybe he'll consider coming back. I would suspect if he left the way he did that there are some burnt bridges, and I don't know that will happen. I could be wrong. I would welcome him back with open arms because I think he's a great option at defensive lineman, so I think we need him. You mentioned your name. Did you say it was Todd? Did I say Todd? I don't know if I did. I'm a little nasally this morning. Maybe that's why it sounded like that. Bruce says, I do feel bad for Steele. Let's see. Let him keep Big Cat. So Hillbilly, you are never one to mince words, and I in some ways I appreciate that about you. But I would bet you would not say that to his face, and because Big Cat would eat you alive. And I would also say that I would not, at this point in a transition period, be saying no to too many people. If Big Cat wanted to come back and give a little bit of stability to that defensive line, even if it's not a starter, I'd say let him come back. Don't know that's going to happen, though. Lee, I heard the comparison of Kevin Steele to Tennessee head coach compared to Matt Luke to Ole Miss until they find their guy. That's a great analogy. So, and even if that's all he is, I think he deserves a shot to prove it. And I think Tennessee could be that place because I think he's a great defensive mind, and defense wins championships. Not a Steele hitter. I just pointed out the irony on the UT message boards. Those UT fans are saying they want Gus to coach there. Isn't that, you want to talk about irony? So let me just, let's play this scenario out for a second. Gus Malzahn goes to Tennessee. Alabama's two biggest rivals. Well, they really only have one, but let's be honest, Auburn. Because you can't really consider it a rivalry at this point. It's like Georgia Tech's a rivalry. Yeah, the history's there for a rivalry. There ain't much of a rivalry over there right now. But it would be funny if Gus Malzahn went there, different shade of orange, and then started giving Alabama fits like he did here at Auburn. And then if Coach Harsin can put it together, and Alabama literally, its two biggest rivals, is going to have the hardest time with it would actually be probably a good scenario there. And, I think Coach Malzahn will get another chance. I don't know that he wants to inherit the mess of Tennessee unless he knows that he can bargain for a situation where he can like stay there for a while. And they may be willing to do that. Tut might be ineligible considering he hired an agent. Hopefully he fired him and clears NCAA protocol. That's a real messy situation. To me, that's messier than the Big Cat situation. I don't know if I don't know the ins and outs of that. I think sometimes, and I understand that this was a tumultuous time for the players and the coaching staff of this team, and everybody was trying to make the best decisions for themselves personally, but sometimes you make the situation worse by making a very rash decision. All right. Bruce is kind of getting here. I'm almost caught up here. I think we're pretty much caught up. What's up, Kenneth? Good to see you, man. Your opinion of the staff. Touch on that in just a second. He'll be, if Gus goes to Tennessee, will you start a Tennessee stream? No, I am not about some puke orange. I think, it's perfectly fine to admire and from afar what Coach Gus Malzahn does. But if he were to go there and if he were to face Auburn again, which 6 years from now we'll face Tennessee, if the schedule is fixed after this year, I don't know. Of course, I want to see us crush Coach Malzahn. But yeah, I will wish him well. And if he succeeds over there in the East and takes down Alabama with us, that's a good thing. Why feel badly for a multimillionaire? They have what they wanted. So, James, I understand what you're saying. I think that's a very unfair mindset, because just because everybody's got this money doesn't mean that they're not worthy of sympathy and worthy of, being treated the same as all of us. Just because, somebody could make that same comparison about me, for instance, if I were to say that, and have a good point. I don't think that's a very fair argument, personally. I'm not trying to pick on you. Always remember that, guys, when we talk about stuff here. I'm not trying to pick on you. You share your comments. I'm giving you my impressions of it. We have to trust the Harsinal. On paper, his staff is legit. All right, so let's get into that right here. Let's talk about the staff a little bit here. It is now complete. As I said at the beginning of this, it is complete in the sense that we don't know quality control stuff. We don't know all that kind of stuff, but the important positional things are there. How about this? Let's talk about the T-Will blowback. We were all, from the very beginning of the coaching staff process, wanting Coach T-Will to be kept on. Travis Williams. Where are you at right now on this? Are you upset? Do you accept it? Did you not care? Honestly, I mean, 'cause I would love to know, especially right here on Twitter, on YouTube, what's the makeup of your impressions of this? What do you feel like Travis Williams was let go too soon? Let's see. Let me come back down here and look at some of these comments that y'all were making. Did you happen to catch Coach Harsin's pressure yesterday? I really like what he's doing, especially with recruiting the West. 3-4 stars from Cali. He might get over here. I did not catch. I had a very, very busy day yesterday. Did not catch the press conference. I probably should go back and watch that. But I do like we talked about this a lot with his time over at Boise State, his influence out there towards the West, and then I think with pulling defensive coordinator Derek Mason, his last hire here for outside linebackers. and I'm still trying to learn his name fully here because it just I haven't had it. Burt Watts. I think that is going to be a potential West Coast recruiting team for that. Stan says he loves the staff. Opinions are human. No worries. I always just want to make sure, because we have some people sometimes that get on here and get offended when I take their thing, kind of take the angle they weren't approaching on that. So I always just want to be careful about that. There are a lot of people who get mad at others' hard work and the money that comes with that hard work. I don't think it necessarily was hating on him. I don't like that train of thought. It's kind of the same. I don't know. I'm going to get on a soapbox. It doesn't need to happen. Let's see. I accepted I want the head coach to be able to bring in his own guys, and he did keep Cadillac, so that's 1, 2. War Eagle just got here. Shame about T. Will. Yeah, Roy. So look, let me talk about this. From the very beginning, I was even vying for Coach T. Will to be promoted to defensive coordinator because I am a fan of stability for the program. And in a world where you fire the head coach in a COVID-19 year, which in a year that wasn't, in my opinion, warranted of firing him, record conditions around the program otherwise, I was a fan of stability. And I think Coach T. Will would have given this program the stability it needed, being promoted to defensive coordinator or being, kept on staff at all. Obviously, that didn't happen. So my source that I've talked to a lot that has been pretty right throughout this whole thing. When I say pretty right, like 99.9% right. I can't even really think of a time that they were wrong. But I'm going to go with the 99.9 because everybody's going to be wrong sometimes. Whoops, excuse me. Didn't mean to knock that microphone around. They told me earlier this week, they said, from what I understand, Coach T. Will hasn't even talked to Coach Harsin since the bowl game. Now, I would imagine since that I was sent that message, they probably had a conversation. But it doesn't seem like it, does it? Because it doesn't seem like he ever... I mean, it's not that he wasn't given a chance. He maybe wasn't just considered. So I am disappointed, but Coach needs his staff. E-Money says, I didn't like it when you talk about defense, Fresno State, and Memphis don't come to my mind. Memphis definitely, but you also have to remember the staff that was there at Memphis recently. I'm thinking of Norvell, and I haven't really followed Memphis since he left, but it was not a very defensive-minded team. And so he came in after the fact, and that's probably not... I wouldn't judge him for Memphis. I would judge him more for Fresno State. Here's the thing I would take E-Money and consider. The hire for Burt Watts was more for recruiting out west than it was defense. And I think you can probably plainly see that. The one thing I like about what Coach Harsin said, he can recruit from out west. So there you go. Even Bruce has brought it up here, is that the whole thing is focused on recruiting, not so much the positional situation there. Because you've got two coaches coaching linebackers. And I know technically, it always feels weird to me when you see an outside and an inside linebackers coach. I know that technically the inside guys are bigger. They're more focused on the run stop type of things. And the outside are supposedly a little bit, maybe like more leaner. Not leaner, but it's not the right word. But it feels weird to me to have two different linebacker coaches. I think they can go together. How much stock are you going to put into this, how this staff finishes recruiting in February? So I would, I said this early on, even before we knew the staff was assembled. I think that Auburn can finish in the top 15, potentially. It's got a ways to go. If it can swing a surprise or two, which there are some, rumors out there about that. I think there's always the potential it could launch itself in the top 10. I highly, highly doubt it. I think the ceiling for this would be in the top 15 and maybe 15 itself. And I hope I'm wrong on that. But I don't think that is anything to be ashamed of. In your first months as head coach, you take a recruiting class that had fallen into the bottom of the SEC up into the top 15 in the nation. It's a pretty impressive job, right? I got a message for Coach T. Will, and he tried me. And I told maybe he'll come back as a DC or a head coach in the future at Auburn. Maybe. We might see him again. Tracy Rocker's back, guys. I never thought we'd see that dude again. Hillbilly just trying to start stuff again. We'll just let you keep doing that. The defensive coaching staff would have me pumped up, lots of knowledge from former DCs. So that's a good thing, too. There's experienced people that have been DCs before. So if they've held that position, even if they're only going to be coaching a certain position like linebackers or something like that, they kind of seen they've managed the defense as a whole. So that should, make you feel a little better. Love T. Will from my sources. Harsin offered him a contract and waited almost a month and heard nothing. Jack, I didn't hear anything like that. And again, one of us is wrong. Maybe both of us are wrong. But my understanding that there was very little contact between them, if any. And that may be from T. Will's side. Maybe that was more from Coach Harsin's side. Here's the fact. It took so long. There were times I felt that in the process, the longer it went, the more it favored Coach T. Will. And then it just kind of got like, if he was a legitimate option, meaning like top 2 or 3, it would have been done earlier. Yes, I am happy that Coach Rocker is back. Bringing back former Auburn players for me is a huge thing. If they're warranted of being part of the staff, not just for the sake of doing that, but just, what's up, James? Good to see you here. Thanks for being here. I wouldn't put much stock in the recruiting from the West more often than the recruits end up missing home. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to consider, E, but I see the recruiting out West more so for the first couple of seasons because one of the things that I was not in favor of with firing Coach Malzahn was how far it was already where we already were. It was going to set us back even further recruiting in the Southeast, stability-wise. So now I think you're going to have to focus just a little bit on transfers, but you've got to start for the next 2 or 3 years, starting to go out where Auburn doesn't traditionally go and pull in some of those players, because it'll obviously create more recruiting grounds out there, but to help you catch back up while everybody else is pretty much ahead of you in the game in the Southeast. I keep knocking around this microphone. I'm so sorry, guys. By the way, we're at 50 live streamers right now. Appreciate y'all being here. If you haven't, smash that like button if you're enjoying what you're watching. It'll help push the stream out to others. Let's see. If they finish close to the top 15, I'd give that an A. Yes, 100%. I think top 15 would be a satisfactory, and that's me. I'm shooting a little bit there, like shooting high. I think it's going to be tough for them to get in the top 15, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. On the 2 linebacker coaches, we used to have a defensive tackles and defensive ends coach. Brent Barando. Isn't that weird? Like, I just don't get that. I know some schemes dictate that you need those positions coached differently, but to me, it just feels like an extra coach that you don't need. Potential signees are looking for a program where they can play. We'll be fine. Hopefully, Coach Harsin will be better than a 70% winner. So I'm guessing that is a shot over the bow at Coach Malzahn, maybe. But yeah, I mean, hopefully. I don't see that happening very soon. And so what I keep trying to warn everybody about here is that you need to lower your expectations for the first 2 to 3 years. If you don't, we're going to all be in some very unhappy seats for a while. We can switch. Look, on these live streams, I obviously come in with stuff I want to talk about, but this is mainly for you. These streams are created by you and for you. So if you want to bounce around a little bit, we can. What the heck happened in the second half of the Arkansas game? I don't know if you've listened to our podcast. By the way, we officially announced that Gray Oldenburg was announced as our new co-host alongside me on Inside the Jungle, our basketball show. So congratulations to him if he's watching this live stream. I think he pops in from time to time. Yeah, we talked about this, and what a great coaching job by Eric Musselman. You saw not an out coaching situation, but you saw great risky decision making to double team Sharif Cooper beyond the half court line at times that really got Auburn out of its offensive tempo that it really likes to keep, and that shut Auburn down. To Auburn's credit, flew back up there and almost got the game win, but it was that's what happened was Eric Musselman making a great coaching move. You got to give credit where credit is due. Finishing with a top 15 class would be great considering the situation. I think we all agree with that, right? I think we all agree that top 15 is going to be impressive if they can pull that off. Now, after year 2, I would say they got to be higher, a little bit higher than that. just improve each year. The Arkansas game, we're pretty young, but that shouldn't be an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's just a reality. And what I've been more encouraged by is the way that the young, talented team responds on the road, as opposed to what previous teams used to do, even with more senior leadership. They faced adversity quite a few times, and the only game where they really felt like on the road that they truly were just out of it and not in it and not trying really was the UCF game, which was like game 3 of the season. So I've been impressed with that, even as a young team. Can't wait to see Auburn win again, but I'm here to warn you we're about to get our butts kicked at least 2 or 3 years. It's going to get way worse. So true GA champion always likes to drop the truth in here. And look, I don't think we're going to get our butts kicked. I've said year 1, I'm expecting about 8-5, including a bowl win. Year 2, I expected a little bit of almost like a real, what feels like a real upswing. I'm not saying SEC championship. I'm not saying playoffs, national, but I'm saying competing for it. I wouldn't be surprised if we only had 2 losses that year. Maybe a third if we went to a really good bowl game and faced a really good team. But yeah, I do think there are going to be some struggles, and I'm just trying to warn people there. We just offer. Jack says Gaston Montgomery should sign soon. Cardwell from San Diego, we just offered, but seems warm. And Dylan Brooks, when he's released, should come to Auburn. So I guess you're talking a little bit about some people that potentially are coming. Those people I just said would jump us up into the top 20. Gotcha. Now I'm understanding. You say you're trying to work yourself. He's trying to work the math up here. So yes, I think Auburn can shoot up into the top 20 very quickly. The question is can they bring in enough of those surprises to get them into the top 15? And just remember, stars only go so far. Recruiting rankings only go so far. Now, there's usually a little bit of legitimacy to it. It's the old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. Just the question is of how big the fire is. So, fortunately, without normalcy, it will look like last year and worse with a new staff and attrition. I do think there's going to be a little bit of that. The instability of the program is going to cause some growing pains. But I think from what I've seen of Coach Harsin, he can weather that storm. All right, I'm going to catch up with some of your comments here. Let's start going through the coaching staff real quick here and start talking about a grade. First off, let's start with Coach Brian Harsin. From what you've seen him do in his time here, the decision to hire Coach Harsin, is that a B, C, D, F? You tell me. Let's see here. Let me catch back up on some things that you were saying here. I like Harsin a lot, the culture he's creating. He'll bring a lot of good recruits. I hate to make Saban comparison, but yeah, I guess, there are some people that want to make that comparison. Here's the good thing. I'm fine with making that comparison. I just didn't want us to become a Bama acolyte, which is why I was heavily in favor of Sarkisian, of Billy Napier, of the guy from Oregon who everybody wanted for half a second, but that doesn't look like a smart decision now. Cardwell is currently trending to Oregon. I did see that it was switching between Auburn and Oregon right now. Kind of feels like he's going to end up at Oregon. I think fans need to step back and let the coaches coach. Neil, no truer words have ever been said. But what's the fun of that? What's the point of my channel in my podcast network if we don't sit here and just hash it out and talk with each other? So here's the thing is I think we need to talk about it, but you got to always talk about it and put it in context and realize, we're only as good as our latest tweet, and we're not paid to coach. So keep it in context is, I think, a better way to say that. What's a bowl win? A bowl win is one of these things that you get after the regular season is over, and when you get usually some kind of little funky trophy. Players get a bunch of gear. They usually go down to Florida or something like that. It's one of those things. I agree, Hillbilly. I think right now I feel like he's going to stay out west. James, we've kind of been talking a little bit about there's not a ton of recruiting stuff that I have for you guys today, just a bunch of rumors. All right, here we're getting to the grades for Coach Brian Harsin. I asked A plus, B, B plus, A plus, B minus, A. Right now it's a B until we see what he can do. Well, that's why I'm asking. I'm not asking for what we see he can do right now. All of these grades that I'm going to ask from you all right now. That's it. Don't think past it. Don't think long term. Right now, what does it look like? New blood here now. I would give it a B. I still don't believe Harsin was the guy. Do you mean it was like the choice? I don't necessarily think he was the choice, but I think he became the choice as time went on. A. Let's see. I was very happy with AD Green. All right, looks like we've got most of the grades in on that one. I think I put the A one there. All right, so yeah, it looks like I would say that probably averages out to like a B plus. You know, I'm just kind of doing math, graded math in my head. Let's move on to. I'm actually just going down the list here of coaches that's on the Auburn University website. Brad Bedell, tight ends coach. A, B, C, D, F. Give me your grades. This is solely based off of first impressions. And if you don't know, do your best guess. Here's an example of letting the coaches coach. I'm a huge Packers fan. Before this season, everyone was screaming about the head coach for not drafting well. Now, one game from the Super Bowl. It's true. But again, this is what we're here for, is to talk about this stuff. Let's see. 24/7 reporting Caldwell is trending to Auburn because of Cadillac. Okay, so and that's a great point here. Keeping Cadillac, I think, was a huge, huge, huge thing for Coach Harsin for many reasons. Tank. But for, you need some Auburn guys like that. And I think you needed one person from the previous staff to keep these guys connected, because think about how they're going to rally around him. But Coach Cadillac has proven that he's a good recruiter in one season. I think considering the coordinators, I give the staff a solid B plus. Jumping the gun there a little bit, but anyway, Harsin a long-winded B plus. B plus, whatever Gus was. Harsin is above that so far. Robert, that's a. I think you may be one of those. I know maybe I'm reading too much into that, but one of those Gus haters out there. But I think any type of statement where you make these broad statements and say, "Oh, he's definitely better than Gus was," that's a little too much. That's a little bit of hyperbole. Who was the choice? You know. Yes, I mean the top choice. Yeah, E, I would probably say, you and I think a lot alike on this. I would say he probably wasn't the guy that they wanted at first, but he became the guy. All right, we're getting to grades on Brad Bedell. B, 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 and Brad Bedell, B. C, he's going to focus on blocking. He's going to focus on blocking and no hands. So yeah, I think we've got a pretty solid B. Almost, that one C didn't bring it down that far. So we'll say a B on him, and I would agree with that. I think it was a good choice for him as the guy that he wanted here. All right, offensive coordinator Mike Bobo. Grade that higher. A, B, C, D, F. Kevlar says, wasn't it Pat Dye when he was hired that said, "I don't care if I'm your first choice as long as I'm the last choice"? Wow. Well done. That might be the message of the stream thus far, my friend. Well done. Well done. Let's see here. Joe, what's going on, my man? I've sent you another message in the East Tuesday Network Booster Club. So make sure you're keeping up to date with that. I need to get you some of your stuff that you're entitled to. On a side note, did you hear about Hank Aaron passing away? I've forgotten that he was born in Mobile. Yeah, so that's not what you want to wake up to these days. Anytime you lose anybody that people, famous, anybody's important to you or anything like that, it's always sad. But yeah, Hank Aaron just hits on a different level. I'm a born and raised to be a Braves fan, and it's a sad day, very sad day. A for Bedell, played in the NFL, knows who's going to beat. All right, I think we're into the grades right now for offensive coordinator Mike Bobo. B, B, A, C, B, A, A plus, B, A for Bobo, C, B minus, B for Bobo, B. Okay. All right. I think we've got most of the grades. You can keep them coming, but I think we've got a good perspective here. I think we would say that a solid B again. I know that's kind of like a boring answer, but I see a few like C's or things like that. I saw a few A's, but for most part, there was like a B. Maybe you might almost get to a B plus in this, but I think a fair assessment of Mike Bobo at this point is a B because it looks good on paper. Will it amount to much on the field? That's the bigger question. But based on what we know now. All right. If y'all are bored with this, we don't have to do it the whole way, but I thought it would be interesting to hear everybody's perspectives. Zach Etheridge, cornerbacks coach, Auburn guy coming back. Share your grade A, B, C, D, F. I'm going to go back and look at some of y'all's comments here. Let's see. There are a lot of great athletes born in Alabama. Absolutely, they are. If you haven't, I haven't had a chance to go to our Hall of Fame, but I want to someday to look at that. Robert, I'm glad to hear you're not a Gus hater, but I don't think that he's not a great head coach, and I don't think that he's necessarily a better coordinator. I just think that everybody got a little too emotional about this situation, personally. Let's see here. I like Bobo, too. We'll teach how to pocket pass like Aaron Murray and Aaron Stafford. I had to subscribe and get on live stream to get you to respond to me. So well played, sir. Robert, what do you mean? Like I usually respond to people, if they send messages afterwards. Sometimes I'm a little delayed on that. But if you were sending messages on the previous streams and videos after the fact, I haven't gotten to you, I apologize. But welcome. Hope you've got that notification bell marked. All right, looks like we're getting to the grades here. B plus, A. All coaches hired are good, but best is Mason. A. Let's see. A for Zach. Solid A. Okay, looks like we have the most favorable hire thus far. Even that is fair. Okay, A plus, A plus, A plus. All right, there we go. I love that. So A for Zach Etheridge. I think this is one that kind of shocked everybody that came on a little quickly. Bringing Auburn people back in is always a favorable thing for most Auburn fans. Some of y'all get on your high horses about, well, we don't got to have Auburn guys. You do to some degree. So I agree with you guys. I think, honestly, that was the biggest surprise for me, and I really, really was happy with Coach Zach Etheridge being back. All right, let's move a little quickly here. Get back down here. Will Friend, offensive line coach, kind of package deal with Mike Bobo. A, B, C, D, E, F. E? A, B, C, D, F. Knows the Auburn way. I agree. Oh, man, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Look, I'm not sitting out here trying to be, the best professional out there. We created these podcasts and these streams for you all, just to be more fan interactive, Auburn family interactive. So that's what this is here for, and I'm not going to say, I'm going to do my best to give you guys quality stuff every day I can. But, we have tried to make this network more about the Auburn family and less about us. All right, we've got, let's see here. We got an A. This is for Will Friend. A. Okay. All right. So this is 2 in a row that everybody seems to be very favorable on Will Friend. I don't know a lot about Will Friend, to be honest with you. So I kind of rank this one a little bit lower. To me, a B or a B minus is like, an adequate. Well, I guess C is average, but, B kind of is like a favorable hire. So I would put this in the favorable category, but not one that I'm like super excited about at this point because I just don't know a lot about him. Friend is a B plus, already got good recruiting, but let's see how he coaches him up. Again, based off of right now, the hire alone. All right. We are now on Derek Mason, defensive coordinator. Grade that hire. A, B, C, D, F. If we get an F here, I'm deleting you from the stream. I'm just kidding. Player coaches will almost always get a high grade, but kudos to Coach Harsin for being a player coach himself and staying true to that. Absolutely. It's a great perspective, Orel. I think, because that already gives them a leg up. Because if you are already able to connect with your players, they're going to be more receptive to your coaching. All I have to do is say something bad about Gus. He will recognize you then. And he's the president of the Gus Malzahn Club. Hillbilly, I'm still waiting. That little spot right there. Make me that plaque. Waiting for it. I will put it up there. President of the Gus Malzahn fan club. Not ashamed. Let's see. Sports. Appreciate the kind words, sir. All right. Looks like we're on the Mason grades now. So let's do that. A+, A+, A+. Oh, wow. I'm not even going to be able to get all. We got a triple A for home run. A+ all day, man. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to be able to do every one of y'all are most excited. Mason is valedictorian. I love his intensity. All right, so it looks like we have our most favorable hire so far. It looks like Mason, Will Friend, Zach Etheridge have been the most impressive as we've been going through this. So look, I think I completely agree, guys. I mean, on paper, it looks solid, like his home run hire. If there was one, and personally, we're getting to one in a second, I think it's a home run hire, but that's a pretty good one. So I think there's a lot of people are excited about everything that Derek Mason brings to the table. And, there's always that worry, though, when you bring in someone of his caliber, how soon or how long it will be before they leave. All right. Jeff, well, you know what? We'll save that one if we have time. I know y'all want to get to other ones. Tracy Rocker, defensive line coach. Grade that higher. A, B, C, D, F. Grade that higher. Let's see. Gus didn't exactly produce NFL guys on a high school offense, did he? So, Robert, here's what I will ask you to use to, and I'm not trying to pick on you. Drop the whole high school offense thing. That was not a high school offense. It's just a way to, it's just not a fair comparison at all. Not trying to pick on you. I just think it's a very unfair way to speak about Coach Malzahn. Do what you want, but that one kind of grinds my gears a little bit. A, B+, we got a C for Rocker. Interesting. Jack, explain yourself. I'm not surprised. I'm a little bit surprised with that one. A+, B, A+. Man, okay, all over the board here. We got a lot of A's. There's a few more B's that I thought would be that are showing up here. We got an A- from Sports with Cord. We got one C. All right, so I would say that, I'll be honest, that the Coach Rocker hire did not give as much of an excitement level that I thought it would based on social media responses. I think it kind of has that feeling that we've done that before, so why do that again? It's always great to have Auburn men back, especially someone with his caliber and his legacy at Auburn. Jack says he has a reputation of being lazy. I think that more so comes because he's not known as the best recruiter, but he is known for coaching players very well. So that could have been one of those type of hires. Got an A over here from Joe. Coach Nick Ferris, A-. Yeah, so I agree there that I think it's one of those that you would, again, put in the B column, but it depends on what your excitement level. For me, I wasn't expecting it, and I was a little bit surprised by it. So I kind of put it in like a B- right now because it just was kind of a more confusing hire for me. All right, Jeff Schmedding, inside linebackers, defensive run game coordinator. Grade that higher. A, B, C, D, F. Grade that higher. Even Alabama took the Gus Seaman and adapted it, so it's not a high school offense. And so, Kenneth, I agree with you there. The whole notion of calling it a high school offense is just to sound – I'm trying to be nice here, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but it just sounds like you're trying to be cute, and you've picked up on the latest slang of that. That's not a – I think that show – I just need to shut up. Never mind. Need to be nice. Be nice. Just keep these Tennessee hires away from McDonald's bags, and we will all be good. Yeah, that does concern you a little bit, doesn't it? Transfer running back would be nice right now. Yeah, I know. I think that's probably what everybody wants. I'm more concerned. I get excited, obviously, when anybody comes to Auburn. I'm more excited about bringing in talent that potentially will be here longer. Because transfers to me are just Band-Aids. I could make the case that Cam Newton was a Band-Aid. It was a really good Band-Aid. Once it pulled off, though, we saw what happened. I think Auburn will be good next year. They always are good, and people count them out. Love the show. Appreciate that. Yeah, I do think so as well. I think we are traditionally counted out, and that's what makes being an Auburn fan so great, because we always get to prove them wrong. Bet he won't be lazy under Harsin. Probably so. Talking about Tracy Rocker. All right, grades for Schmedding. B. Oh, that was a Will Friend grade. B. A. B with a question mark. Got an A. C only because I don't know much about him. So I think that's a fair assessment there. I actually am going to probably agree with Cord here. And this is for my incomplete knowledge of him. That may be more fair for me to say there. Let me just say this. I'm only going to agree with Sports with Cord about the C because I don't know much about him. If I'm Coach Brian Hart, I think for Coach Harsin, though, this is probably one of his more favorite hires because it's his guy. He brought somebody over from Boise State. That was going to happen. So for him, that's probably one of his more important hires. But in terms of, being an exciting home run hire, it definitely isn't there. Doesn't mean he's not going to be good, though. All right. Bert Watts, the latest hire, special teams coordinator and outside linebackers coach. Grade that hire. A, B, C, D, F. Grade that hire. Cam Newton was the best Band-Aid I've ever seen. Yeah. Yes, it was. What's up? He said, look, I'm famous because you're on the stream. Auburn football will be fine. Just don't play it on Orange Field. I hope that doesn't happen as well, but you never know. You just never know these days. Where are the 6'5" quarterbacks anymore? They stopped with Cam Newton. We had a 6'5" or 6'6" quarterback in Jeremy Johnson, but what happened with that was crazy. I listened to a podcast with a former offensive lineman who transferred to Boise. He talked about how he was very lost and very behind on understanding true football concepts. That was heartbreaking. That transferred to Boise State. You talking about someone, where did they transfer from? I'm missing that part there. F, because I love T. Will. That's fair. That's fair. B, we got a B. Grade is a T for T. Will. It was a mistake not to retain T. Will. Oh, wow. We're getting the fewest responses from this one. So, yeah, I think most of you are not even responding to this one at this point, just out of like protest for Coach T. Will. And look, guys, I get it. I really do. I really do understand the pain of not keeping Coach T. Will. I think it was a mistake as well. But as we've seen here, as we've been grading this one, grading a lot of these here, there's a lot more to be excited about in the staff. And I would just say I would defer to Coach Harsin on this one and trust him. And we got one A here for Bert. I don't know how to grade that. Yeah. There's not a lot of excitement, that unfortunately that's what, and I think now what's going to happen is we are all going to grade Coach Bert Watts on a different, maybe unfair level because of what we wanted in Coach Tebow. So I would encourage you not to do that simply because it wouldn't be fair to him. But I understand. I understand the emotions behind this because I'm feeling them too. All right, here's what I want to know from everybody. Grade this higher. Carnell Williams. Assistant coach is what it says. I don't know why he got that. Maybe assistant head coach or something like that. And running backs coach. Running backs coach. Grade that higher. A, B, C, D, F. If his offense was legit, it would send Players League. There's no arguing with that. It's either what doesn't develop. I think there's arguing with that. We don't have time for that today. We can do that another day if you'd like, Robert. But Yeah, I think you can argue with that a little bit. D, they should have done whatever they could to keep T. Will in that position. Yeah, this is not. He is setting up. He is not in a good position in terms of perception right now. So he's got to do well. Gonna miss T. Will. Harsin has respect for Bert. I'm gonna trust the judgment. I'm kind of where you are, Thomas. All right, Carnell Williams grade A plus, A plus 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 plus, B plus, A plus, A, Tank with an A in it. All right, we got A pluses, A's. Oh my goodness, A plus plus. I followed him a lot. Great coach. So yeah, I look, we've got A's across the board here, A pluses. So to me, I think honestly, this is the best hire of the entire coaching staff. And I am completely biased. Coach Cadillac is my favorite player from Auburn. He's right behind me right here. He's got his signed picture. I'm excited about him, and I think he's even more got people more fired up than even Derek Mason. So yeah. All right, we won't worry about. I know you may want to do strength and conditioning, but it's kind of like one of those that necessarily doesn't really get that much interest in. So we'll pass over that. I'll assume that everybody would say kind of like in the B range with an average here. Your last coach I want you to grade, Cornelius Williams, wide receivers coach. Grade that higher. A, B, C, D, F. Will Adams, former Auburn lineman, Auburn football between the tackles is the podcast with former Auburn lineman out. Oh, I didn't know that they were still doing that podcast. Yeah. I don't listen to many other Auburn podcasts. I used to a lot, but I just don't have the time to because I have to listen to all my own to edit anyway. And I mean, remember, there's several people that are on these podcasts. It's not just me. So, and I'm the main editor. So I have my fill of Auburn stuff with the people here. All right, Cornelius Williams grades are coming in. We got a B plus, A plus, B plus, B. There's a but I'm assuming that's a B. B, A on wide receivers coach. A plus. Give it a B plus. Okay, so keep them coming in if you haven't. But I think I agree with everybody. I think on the surface, when you look at this one, it doesn't look all that exciting. And it, when we were talking about bringing in some of the other names that were potentially out there, I think there were a few more exciting things. The more I've sat on this and after doing some research, I'm actually probably putting Cornelius Williams on the higher end of my hires choices. And that's like up there with Cadillac, so I really, I think this is probably one of his better hires, to be honest with you. The more I look at it, because of what he's going to do for recruiting in the state of Alabama and the connections he has. Seriously, though, what happened to Penn State this year? COVID-19 is what happened. Ooh, sports accord, Rick Griezmann Boom, favorite hire. Who were the coaches you wanted to see hired? T. Will is one of them. I think, personally, y'all are going to hate me here. I was hoping there was some reality that, we could have kept Coach Tevin Steele here for a little bit longer as a defensive coordinator, hold some stability over. I truly believe that, but I understand the emotions behind this situation here. A lot of C, Will, is going to surprise people. A for Williams. So I would say that Kevin Steele, and I would have loved to keep Cody Burns, but I just didn't think that was going to happen over there. Hiring away from, I hadn't really thought too much about other teams that we would have hired away, but yeah. All right, so we have graded the staff. We're going to go ahead and say goodbye to the Twitter folks. Again, if you want to join us ever on here on YouTube, it's probably the better setup. I can keep track of your comments better, but thank y'all for being here. All right, YouTube folks, you always get the extra time because you are, it's not that you're the best, but you're here. So I want to be here for you. All right, you can get in. Let's get in some more comments, questions. I've got a little bit more time I can spend with you all. We've kind of done exactly what I wanted to, though, in terms of talking about grading the staff. But let me share a couple things for you, as we always do before we get out of here. If you want to help support this content, including the podcast network, listen to the podcast. You can do that on the main feed, but also what I'm sharing with you now is our exclusive podcast feed. If you just want the Auburn Roots series, that's where we invite people on to share their Auburn story. And you can join that as well, or you can just get it on the main feed if you want all the shows. But I'm putting that one, if I can get it to there. Oh, my goodness. Don't you love it when you can't get things to work? Wow. Okay. Hold on one second, guys. But if you would like to check that out, and it's not letting me put it in the thing, so I apologize, guys. I don't know what's going on there. But if you want to go check that out, you can. We just posted a new episode today for Michael Floyd sharing his Auburn story. I hope you'll go check that out. If you would consider going to check out the Booster Club, patreon.com/E2C Network. Again, you're only charged at the beginning of the month right now. That may change in the future. But right now, so you can sign up for as little as $1 a month and try it out, see if it's worth your while. Or just go over there and check it out. And I hope that you will, because we've got a lot of people that have come over there to check that out and help support this content. There we go. It's going to allow me to share the Patreon link in there if you'd like to go check that out. And then we also have PayPal and then our TeePublic store where you can buy our logo on t-shirts and support other things. So I really appreciate anybody who considers doing that. Also, if you've enjoyed the content today, please smash that like button. It helps the stream out. And if you haven't, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. We'll be doing this again tomorrow. And we'll see what great topics are. So it's going to get interesting now. I think things will finally slow down a little bit because of the coaches are hired. So now we probably shift our attention to recruiting and talking about that just a little bit here. So that's all the stuff I have to share for you. Let's talk about what you guys said here in the window. Poor Twitter folks, I know. I do it for them, and at some point, I'll probably only do it on here, but I try to, do it to encourage some of those that don't come over at some point to be here. I think the game against Penn State is going to be interesting. It will be. I think it's going to be a tough one for Auburn to win, even as bad as they look this year. Winning in Happy Valley, especially when you don't play there that often, is going to be a tall task. Steele, the type of dude to storm the Capitol, not loyal and stupid. A lot in that statement that I'm not going to address. But I guess I understand what you're trying to say there. Ask for the overall grade. Okay, all right, fine. Everybody, overall grade of the coaching staff. Put it in there now. A, B, C, D, F. We graded Coach Harsin up by himself, but for the overall staff, Coach Harsin all the way down to the strength and conditioning coach. Grade that staff. I'm sure this year versus South Carolina will go to us. Probably so. They're going to be hurting a little bit bad. Did Tut come back? Not to my knowledge. Now, since we've been on the stream, that could have changed, but not to my knowledge. I love to have been a fly on the wall when the boosters found out Coach Harsin was getting hired. How do you know that some of the boosters weren't in on that? You see, we always assume that what we hear from the beat writers is true. Is it? Most things you hear in the media these days is about 50% true, if that. Always remember that. Where there's smoke, there's fire. But the question is to what degree. So were there boosters that conspired to get rid of Coach Malzahn? Yes, I would say that's 99% true. Were there a lot of them? 50% true? Did they make that much of a difference? Probably not. Alan Green got his guy. This year's game was so horrible. It was a very frustrating game. First time catching the stream. Hope we'll see you back here. Thanks for being here. War Eagle to you. Much love. First time I've actually caught you on the live podcast. Awesome. Just a quick reminder here. This is not the podcast. This is simply a live stream that we decided to start doing on top of everything else that we do. So we have the podcast on Apple Podcast or anywhere else that you can check it out. If it's not on your podcast app of choice, please let me know. It's not just me. It's a lot of other voices there sharing their perspective. We do an equestrian show. We've got a track and field show that's going to get started up again. We've got basketball, football, all kinds of good stuff there. Random topics. So yeah, but glad you're here. Let me get to the grades here because then I'll come back to some of the comments here. B+, B+, A, A minus, or A, B plus, A minus. I think we're probably sitting about a B plus based off what everybody's saying here. Maybe shifting towards an A minus a little bit. I would not go as far to say an A or my A minus or even a B plus. I think what overall has been assembled is worthy of a B, which is above average. And I think what Coach Harsin has started here is a great foundation. And the thing about foundations means it's not going to, the foundation, while maybe solid, doesn't mean that you're not going to have rocky points at certain times. That foundation always shifts in a house. I'm using a lot of analogies here, a little bit, and sometimes there's a few cracks that show in it. Sometimes things shift. Sometimes you might come back and make big adjustments if something's really wrong with it. But there's a great foundation here to build upon, and I think that's an important thing. A minus is, I think, what he said. A, okay, all right. Anyway, oh, by the way, Quentin, don't apologize for that. I just want to make sure you knew that we did podcast other than this. Just want to make sure you were aware of that. All right, let me come back and catch up on some of these things here. Anybody else watch Coach Harsin's press conference yesterday? I did not. I did not have time to. Need to recruit better in-state players. Lost out on talent that Bama didn't cash in on. That is true. I will say that I think our focus needs to be equally on in-state and in Southeast stuff, but trying to go outside our traditional regions for this first 1 to 2, maybe 3 years. Given all the commotion about the NCAA coming down on multiple programs for recruiting violations, I'm super thankful that Gus running a clean program. Knock on wood. So I think people need to remember that. This is not saying that Coach Harsin's going to run into this problem. The fact that some Tennessee folks came over was a little bit troublesome. But just remember, you kind of have to cheat to be successful. Now, to what degree? That's a question. But the people that are succeeding, they are cheating or finding a way to skirt the rules to some degree. I think Coach Malzahn, to his credit and his detriment, was not willing to do that. And that is why I valued him as a head coach, because he chose to winning the right way was more important to him than winning. And that's for me personally, and I get most of you don't think like that, but that's the way I see that. Most of the thing you hear in the media is only to spark conversations. Sports, you've got a good head. Sports with Cord, you got a good head on your shoulders, sir. Their job is to get you to click. Watch the next time they have a big subscriber drive or anything like that. Watch what news suddenly comes out. And my job is to get you to click and to get you to subscribe and to get you to, hit the notification bell, to like, to comment, all that stuff, to like this video. But at least I'm honest with you about it. Imagine being a big D1 school losing to Georgia State on your home turf. That's tough, man. That's real tough. I hope we finally put some emphasis on winning a bowl game. Sucks to go through the offseason with a loss. It does. It really does. And it's not that the emphasis wasn't put there. I think right now you've got a very difficult culture in college football, which has made the bowl games outside of the playoff not worth it. I think expanding the playoff, changing the way that the conferences work would fix that. But yeah. Kenneth, is the pod on Podbean? I believe so. I will go check that for you, sir. If that's what you use, thank you for asking that question. I will go check on that for you. My understanding is it was at one point. We did some switchover stuff this past summer that may have stopped that. I will go check that for you. But if that's where you watch, I'll go check. When's the last time Auburn won a bowl game? It's been so long. Cannot remember. Purdue 2 seasons ago. So we lost last year and the year previous, and that was Purdue, where we beat unfortunately, the very sick kids, the fans. I forget his name for Purdue. Last game he saw was against team getting walloped by Auburn. That's tough. That's not something I wanted to do. I mean, I wanted to win, but not that way. Do you think we should grab Eric Gray? I don't know yet. I need to look more into I was online yesterday, looked up what the new Auburn uniform designs that were out there looked like. Was fun seeing different looks. If you're talking about Auburn uniform database, which is where I recommend you get it, there's no new designs yet, but there are always speculations that I know of. He hasn't told me. Everyone should be patient. Harson's going to take time. I think personally, I'm not trying to play favorites here, but Sports Record and E-Money think most like me on this stream, and I appreciate with that. And I think sometimes we get misinterpreted with our we have cautious optimism. You prepare yourself for what could go wrong, then it's not so bad if it does go wrong. And then if it doesn't go wrong, you're still happy. That's the way I like to think. The Texas running back, yeah, potentially. Harsin will do a good game year one with the staff he built. I can't wait until March. That's when we'll get excited. Exactly. So now we're going to start building about recruiting is what this next wave of stuff we'll be tackling. Then it'll be like position battles, getting ready for the A-game experience. All right. So I think we've caught up on everything, guys. I really appreciate y'all being here. Again, if you haven't, please do hit the like button for this video if you enjoyed the stream. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. Be back tomorrow sometime. Probably be a slow news cycle day, but we'll find some things to talk about. It's always great to see all of y'all here, and I really appreciate you being part of these streams. Until we talk to you guys again, War Eagle.